I know the Anvik house, a number of fires. I don't know what the total is. Sheriff Bill Berquist joins us. Sheriff Berquist, how many fires? You know, it isn't all by days, but how many fires are we talking about?
Well, I guess we've kind of figured around 6.
6 fires
that we're talking about. Yeah.
Is that meaning 6 911 calls, or how do you gauge them?
Well. Yeah, that was a good question because one day we had 2 of them. It's just I think that's how we gauge them, were the calls.
Okay, so 6 fires, and your county staff is in a full investigation mode. And what are you doing to protect, if in fact it is somebody from the outside that is coming to set these fires? What is your sheriff's department doing, in fact, to protect that perimeter?
Well, since the very first fire, the call that we have, we've had deputies sitting there for hours. I mean, obviously we can't do it 24 hours a day, but I would say 10 hours a day there's somebody there, either around the property or in the yard. They're sitting there just observing. And even like during the fires, after the fires, we've been there, and it's just a little overwhelming, I guess.
Have you in any way been limited in the way that you're able to observe the home itself?
No, I mean, they have agreed that we could be in the yard and have people around there watching. I mean, they know that, and they're
Can you set up surveillance cameras, do anything you want?
We're going to set up some cameras, and we were in the process of doing that when this fired the other night, so yes.
Okay. Anybody in particular a suspect so far?
Is there any particular suspect? No. We have our list of names that we're interviewing, which even includes the family members and people that know them. We get names from them that we're doing investigations on, and like I said before, with this computer stuff, it's just very large. I mean, we have names from other countries, that we have to look at each one, we have to interview each one, or we go to our other law enforcement agencies to help us do that, because we can't just drive to Florida or something because of something that was said on a Facebook account. So.
Well, you wouldn't be doing your job if you didn't ask the questions of the family itself as well.
Correct.
I mean, they're on the scene. Right. They're on the site.
That's where we have to start.
It isn't like you're being accusatory or pointing fingers, but you also, to do an investigation on behalf of the taxpayers of Clay County, you've got to look at the makeup of this family. Right?
And they've been very helpful to us, and like I said, most of the information we have came from them.
Have they both allowed themselves to go to a lie detector test?
Not both of them, no.
Okay, which one has?
I believe Matt said that he would.
And she hasn't. She won't. Tara won't subject herself to a lie detector test.
Not at this time, no.
Has she lawyered up?
I believe she does have an attorney, yes.
Okay, so everything's going through that attorney.
Correct.
You're not going to be able to answer this, but I got to ask the question for our listeners out there. It doesn't. There's a lot of people with question marks who are saying, is there some issue here with her if she's not willing to subject herself to a lie detector test, and she's speaking through an attorney right now? Is she your lead suspect in this case?
No, she is not. And we do understand. We've been in law enforcement long enough to know that when you have law enforcement in your life that much, like the Anviks have, I mean, they begin to worry too. I hope they don't suspect me, and they themselves have to do what they feel is right for them. So, I mean, this happens. It's not something new for us. And
is there any common thread to these fires?
Well, that's the.
For example, has she always been there at these fires?
Yes, there's been people there. Yes.
I know people have been there, but my point is, has she always been present at the fires?
Yes.
Okay. Has he always been present at the fires?
Well, he was not the other night of the house fire.
Right.
Correct.
I mean,
he has been present during some of them, yes.
And I'm not trying to be accusatory here as much as what my common sense meter keeps going off. I mean, it keeps going off. And I'll be honest with you, Sheriff, if this was going on at my home, and you said, I want you to sit down to a lie detector test just so we can make sure we take you off the list, or we can start really focusing somewhere else, I'm saying hook the wires up, let's get her done.
But we, again, understand sometimes people are afraid of those machines because they could be totally innocent, and they're worried, well, what happens is, just because of the how they work, that they feel, well, I'm nervous,
I don't trust them.
Yeah, I don't trust them, so I don't blame anybody
So,
for that.
so on the ground today, what are you doing? Let's assume that it isn't where my hunch takes me. Okay.
Correct.
Obviously, any listener with a brain right now knows what my hunch takes me. But let's just assume that it's somebody from the outside, for whatever reason they have, that is doing this to this family. Okay. What can you do to protect that family right now?
Well, being there for them. I mean, obviously now they're not living there anymore. That doesn't mean that we're giving up. We still have deputies there, every night in their yard, driving around the area. And I guess yesterday that was our intent, to go to the public for some help on this, because that's where we're going to probably have to get our tip. But I can guarantee you, we've got, I'm sure, 8 investigators working on all these names that we keep getting, and we look at.
Is she subjecting some of these names to you?
Yes, she's been very helpful for giving us information that we need to check out all these things.
She's also been posting things on Facebook.
Correct.
That raises some questions.
Well, it's just making it more difficult for us. It is.
I mean, there's no question about that.
Yes.
And there's also been a lot of other issues that come into play during an investigation like this.
Exactly.
Okay. I think, in fairness to you, these questions really need to be asked. Because in defense of the Clay County Sheriff's Department, you can't fully investigate and do what you need to do unless you're given full and complete access. And I get the sense that you haven't.
Yeah, I mean, we are still moving ahead, though. I mean, sometimes you kind of get to a roadblock and we go around it and keep going. And, right now we're working with the fire marshal's office, and we really are waiting to get a lot of the lab results back from some of the stuff that's already been taken, and hopefully that's going to give us some more information. So.
Okay, let's take some phone calls. Scott, you're on with Sheriff Bill Berquist. Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, I watched body language of that lady on the news, and I can tell you, my wife, if someone tried to start our house on fire, within a few hours, she was just still freaking out. I mean, bawling and screaming. And I didn't see that. I just saw a really calm lady with something. And I don't know, that kind of gave me off a little bit. But they're bow hunters, which every bow hunter, but every rifle hunter has an ear cam.
That's
Property and stuff. Why don't they throw a bunch of ear cams?
and why not give access to the police? You know that if that was the case, I mean, I've got a nephew who can sit there and show you underneath every one of his stands for a wide range of what's been going on. It isn't like they don't. And Sheriff Berquist, that's a fair question by Scott. Why haven't they, if they had some of these concerns that they've expressed to you, why hasn't she done that, if that's what her side profession is?
Well, they did put the cameras up. We did get the cards out of them, and
And what'd you see?
I have not even talked to an investigator. One of the cameras, I don't know if it malfunctioned or for some reason there wasn't anything on the card, but some of the cameras actually had a different system. It wasn't the card. So we had to get the box, which we have to retrieve it out of there, and that's what they're working on today.
Well, I mean, I don't know how to ask you any of these questions without putting you in a spot where you're going to look at me and say, shove it, Joel. I'm not going to tell you that. But there are many people out there that are very suspicious of what's happening. And knowing the area as well as what I know the area, there are a lot of people who really respect Matt Anvik. I mean, and just think the world of him. And they just see his life kind of spinning, downhill and losing his home. And so, I mean, do you have any idea of, now that certainly everything is kind of wrecked now, right? I mean, in terms of fire investigations, how much more difficult is it to pull up DNA, to pull up the type of information you can use to say, wait a second here, I'm calling BS. I've got fingerprints here. You know what I mean?
Well, it does make it very difficult. I mean, the fire marshal's office is doing a great job. I mean, they've already know that it's definitely arson, but now to put that arson with a suspect, well, that's the major problem.
Easy. Sheriff, you're going to get mad if I go any further, so I'll let you be.